challenging economic circumstances clearly impacted some of the immediate results, and we can talk about that later. The ones that really relate to some of the modeling changes we made in our insurance book. So I'll talk a little bit about how those come about. One set of modeling changes related to what we did for our annuity business. So we changed our longevity basis. In layman's terms, we felt that the basis that we had used previously did not fully account for the risk that we thought we were carrying for longevity, i.e. people are likely to live a little bit longer. So from an actuarial point of view, if you believe that people are going to live longer than you had anticipated when you wrote the book, you have to up your assumption set. In layman terms, it means it's going to knock your income because now you are holding larger reserves than we were holding before. So that's the first set of changes that we have introduced. That's right. Well, it's not only that, there's a second set of change. The second one really has got to do with how we reserve for the other 10 businesses. Essentially, again, for reserving purposes, you look in terms of a period. We used to have reserve at a point in time, now we are reserving over a defined period of time. By reserving over a defined period of time, you have to strengthen your reserve again and hold up a little bit more. So as you can see, all these are about strengthening the reserves we are holding against our liabilities, and they've got immediate impact. Combined, they've had that impact that you're talking about. Well, first of all, reserving just means that we have put away more. We have not really, it's not really a loss that's written. Clearly, that is prudence. It ensures that if the experience is obviously worse than we thought it was, now we've provided for it. If it turns out that it's actually not as bad as that, that's going to be released back into profits. So this is really about reserving, it's about putting away money for tomorrow. It's not about writing off money. Yes, it's got to do with obviously how the portfolio is invested. There is exposure, different exposures that we have, and clearly depending on what the asset manager that invests on our behalf has positioned the portfolio, it could either benefit or not benefit from the exchange rate changes. In this instance, clearly it didn't benefit because he had been positioning it much more strongly on the foreign currency, particularly the dollar. Absolutely, it has had an impact. We've seen the increase in maturities that are not reinvested. Previously, when people's policies matured, they will reinvest the money. They are taking it away, clearly to take care of whatever their needs are. Secondly, we are seeing an increase in some of their lapses. They're still within our assumption set. The way we are clearly in our book, we assume a certain portion of our policies are going to lapse. But that has steadily kind of went up, reflective of where the economy is at. Even more so, we are seeing that on the corporate side, where we are seeing scheme terminations increase. These are small employers who obviously are investing through the umbrella fund. As the employer gets out of business, those schemes are shut down or closed out or sold to another company. We've seen an increase in that. Even more so, we've seen a fall in number of people covered within the same employer, reflecting the fact that employers are shedding jobs. So yes, the tough economic environment has had a direct impact on those lines. So you've seen the experience variances being muted. So we are still within assumptions that we didn't make losses there, but whereas in the past we had made profits, those have reduced quite considerably. On the corporate side, actually that's coming as a decrease in cover, therefore decrease in the premiums that we are receiving. Well, what we said was clearly, well, I'm talking about two things here. So the premiums that people are paying for the different books, we've protected the annuity book, which is a longer. There's a risk book that we are writing every day, which means which pays on death, on disability. Clearly, these experiences are different for those types of businesses. So the risk book, which is really the life insurance policies and disability products that we are writing, it's where I'm talking about that the claims experience has gone slightly up, although it's still within the assumption set, it's gone slightly up. The premium flows that we are receiving have continued to come. That's the difference. So we're still writing more new risk book, but the experience is the element that I'm talking about. Yeah, I think there are two parts to that. The first part is that we have to see ourselves past this. So that's why we are investing in distribution. We continue growing our distribution force, both here in South Africa and elsewhere. Why? First of all, obviously we want to have a wider distribution reach. We really believe people need, in this distressed time, to be speaking to a financial advisor. It's much as it feels like people will not buy. Actually, it's really the time when they are in dire straits, which is why a risk book, people seeking insurance to protect against themselves, tends to go up when actually people have a difficult situation. We believe it's the right thing to do. So that's one way of making sure we protect ourselves through the tough times. But clearly, from an operations point of view, when we run our business, we need to start tightening certain things. It's important that we manage down our costs. So how have we managed that? First of all, by just streamlining things, to say that, hang on, all our projects, we need to be very vigilant about not having duplications, things that we can do next year, let's push them out to next year, things that we believe that are luxuries, and there are luxuries where you're thinking of moving offices just to upgrade. We're saying, hang on, do we have to do it now? So yes, there is a lot of cost mindset, cost cleaning mindset that is going through the organization without compromising the future. We are very, very careful that we don't want to compromise the future, and it's coming through our numbers that we are continuing to invest in distribution, we are continuing to invest in new geographies, because we believe in the long term we need to create those lines of businesses so that when the market lifts, we actually have got the opportunity to grow in those markets. If I did that, I would not be doing this job. Clearly, we believe though markets are cyclical. Economic situations change over time. One has to believe that the demographics, and I truly believe this, demographics that drive the economy in the long term remain firm. They are not shaken actually by what has happened. If anything, we will see these blips come and go. Clearly, when these are transmitted through the global economies, it's very difficult to see a way past them. But already, we know that we are dealing with an unusual situation. Brexit is a big issue that's affecting the rest of the world. In the middle of election years for the American, and we are now going through a Britain that's going to come under new leadership. Angela Merkel is facing her own. So we've got a lot of things that are going to happen that talks about political change. As political change happens, everything stands still and it waits to see what's going to happen. So lucky for the Japanese that are ahead of that. The rest of us and the rest of the world will wait and watch. So we expect the economy under those conditions to slow down. But once that is out of the system, you would expect that sense is going to prevail. People are going to start saying, hang on, long-term policies have been put in place. All these politicians have to make their own mark. They're going to come with expansive policies to again, spur growth into the world, because nobody wants to actually run economies that are declining. So I'm very bullish that post this phase of electing new leaders, we're going to see sense prevail in the market, long-term policies being revealed again, which really will encourage investments to come through, which will start the growth phase. I believe that uncertainty for the rest of the year it's really the norm. Certainly for South Africa, given that we've still got the sovereign assessment that's going to happen towards the end of the year, rating assessment that's going to happen at the end of the year, we cannot remain uncertain. All the European, the big forces that I talk about are still going to be in place. Until next year, to my mind, we actually don't know what's going to happen. Having said that, the markets have a way of surprising you.